It's the most important part. For me, Direttore Sportivo is the most important part of a team. This is the reason why I think Italy has been able to be competitive, don't have a lot of money, but the sporting director is one of the most crucial things in any club. Milan learned the example from last year to this year. It's that they brought in Tade, we'll talk about it after, but you could already see the impact that's had.
But we have to explain what a sporting director is. Clear, the guy who buys the players.
Well, that's the problem,
not necessarily to everyone, because even, you know, like we saw with Manchester United last week, some people were surprised to see him come out and say, I am the manager of Manchester United, I'm not just the head coach. So there is a lot of different aspects, isn't there?
You guys don't do this in England?
That's the thing.
And that's the difference in England that we see.
100%. So for growing up in England, we used to know that the manager was in charge. The manager would decide what players come in, who'll go to the CEO. You wouldn't really hear that much about the CEO of the football club. Manager will dictate within what players, they get the job done. Now sporting directors become more pronounced in the Premier League, but Serie A has been doing it for much longer. Serie A have been running clubs more of a business standpoint, more so than the Premier League was doing it. So it's quite interesting. I think it's not a one shoe fits all. It depends on the club and it depends on what they want to do. So you look at it nowadays you'd have to say the sporting director is probably the more safer job for anyone who wants to get involved in football, because they're the one that seem to be making decisions to buy and sell players that they want, and they seem to stay away from it, where the manager now, for me, I would say, has become the more sacrificial lamb. They're the one that's in the front of it. They're the one that has to take it when it doesn't go right, when the players are not performing, and they're the ones that will lose their job, while sporting directors seem to go under the radar, even when they make bad decisions and bad buys. But again, when you look at the bigger clubs, like a club like Manchester City with Pep Guardiola, I guarantee he's making all decisions. I guarantee he can get what he wants, when he wants, and he'll be the one that's planning on what players that they're getting, while some other clubs, it'll be the sporting director that dictates what players come in.
I understand and agree with everything you're saying. I don't know if there's a big manager, like a Ancelotti or you know, Allegri or Conte, big managers that go into clubs and have no say of other players coming in. I understand the system we're talking about.
Winning managers for sure. I would say, like you said, Pep. You look at
that happens more to like a young manager who they're like, hey, look, this is your coach. You're here. Get the team to win games. Tell us the profiles you want. We'll go and find it. We've got a team of guys, scouts, sporting directors that go find these profiles for the right amount of money. But if you're a big-time manager, you're going to have a say. You're going to have a say who you want in the building and who you want out of the building. And by the way, why I think it's not a good model to just have a coach and sign players for them based on profile alone, because you're signing human beings at the end of the day. And I was in this section of it when I was scouting for Cincinnati, when I saw it's not just what you see on Y-Scout. It's not just what you see on film. It's not the goals, not the stats. As this business is getting more stat-oriented and more algorithm-oriented, you have to go back to understand you're signing a player, a human being that's going to uproot his family or move, the club has to fit him, the culture has to fit him, the style of football has to fit him. So for me, it's very important that the manager has a say in who's coming through the door and who's not coming.
Would you say sometimes in Italy, though, the manager doesn't have as much say because the sporting directors really are the ones that are kind of the masterminds? We'll have a look at Inter's flow chart and really see the direction that Inter go in particular, because this is somebody as well with Marotta that you guys talk about all the time.
This guy's the GOAT. He's the best. He's the Messi of sporting directors. And I think when the American ownership came into Inter, when they took over, the best thing that they did was they made him president, and they gave him a 2% stake in Inter because he runs clubs efficiently. He did it with Juventus. He brought Juventus back. They went to Serie B. They finished 7th place twice. He brought them to 2 Champions League finals. He did the same with Inter. And you know why he is so important? It's because, look, we have Christian Chivu in now, and we're going to talk about why he's doing such a great job. Before that, they had Simone Inzaghi. Before that, they had Antonio Conte. He signs players for a club, not just for a manager. So if a coach leaves, it's not that you have one player for one system that can't fit. No, you have to have somebody that fits the profile of Inter. And he often talks about one aspect that Grella just mentioned that is not seen in stats. You have to see the motivation of a player. He often says, I need players that come from the youth system, that understand Inter, that understand Italy, that want to go above and beyond. So he speaks to players on a personal level, oftentimes meeting even their families and understanding what gets them to tick. He is the best that there is in football.
This is the best blueprint I've seen him running a club. Like Marco said there, I think what Inter do is they buy players that can go and play and understand what it means to represent the club, but also not the fact of we need to get this manager in who can manage only these type of players. No, you're there representing Inter. It's the bigger picture. It's about the club. It's not the individual manager that comes in. One thing that I would say is Zanetti being there plays a big part. An ex-player who knows the game, knows the club, and knows what it is to sign certain players, knows qualities in players that they're identifying with. That is the best relationship there. You've got the business aspect, and you've got a football in mind. A player that's been there knows what players to get and the right combination. That's the best.
And they've been masters, Grella, at transfers, haven't they? Here is a look at some of the free transfers that they've brought in, and not only the ones that they've managed to bring in on arrival, but also the ones that they've managed to sell on for some really big money.
It's crazy. You know, we love football, so we always talk about football and players, but it's a business. And at the end of the day, think about it. If you're an investor or you're someone who goes to work for your money or whatever you do, where can you get this kind of return on investment where you're getting an asset, right, for free, and you're selling them on for 20, 30, 40 million? It's unheard of. It's unheard of. Or buying a player for 10 million, selling them on for 60 million. Or whatever it may be. There is no business in the world like it, and that's why you've got to understand not only, I think what he understands is not only the football aspect, but he understands the money. I think a lot of money guys get involved in football, and they want certain players, but they don't fully understand. Like, they want that player, but they don't understand the value of that player. It's hard for them to understand that. So you got guys like him who understand both sides. Really important for the success of the club.
Onana. He got
So
Onana for
true.
free and sold him for 55 million. He got Paul Pogba from Manchester United and made Manchester United pay 120 million back for that player.
Crazy, isn't it? Let's just have a look, Nigel, at the Juve side of things, because this is the star shining example in Italy. In Juve, on the other hand, Grella, I mean, you've talked about Giuntoli so many times. He's obviously not there. They've made changes, but the problem is they've made too many changes, haven't they? That it feels like there's no real direction of the club.
The biggest issue is, right, you can draw these lines for me anywhere you want. This is kind of neat how they have it, they're different. But for me, these guys all sit at the table, and they all understand where they're trying to go and what they want to do. Well, the problem happens when the board of directors' expectations and realistic of what they actually have or where they're going, what the goals are, doesn't match up through the lines, right? So in this example, you have Spalletti here at the bottom of this. I guarantee you Spalletti's sitting in on these conversations on who they want to bring in, what the expectations are, what the goals are for this club. He's an important factor for that, for sure. He's not sitting there saying, oh yeah, whatever Chiellini thinks, whatever Comoli thinks, you bring that guy in. It would be really hard to believe if that was true.
Who does have the ultimate say? Who has the ultimate power when it comes to
the CEO will always have the ultimate say.
If he brings in a player that he doesn't like, he's not playing. It happened to me. It happened to me at Leeds. Ownership brought me in. Manager didn't want me. It was rare that I would play, because if he doesn't want you, doesn't believe in you, and doesn't think you're a good fit for the team, he could bring in whoever he wants. He's not going to play him. It's simple.
Which is kind of what's happened with the turnover of managers. There's been so many different profiles of players. And Nigel, on the opposite side of things to Inter, this is how much money Juventus have spent, and they've missed in so many of these transfer windows as well, because they've ranked first so many times, apart from 2023 to 2024, where they were fourth. But this is not good numbers for Juve.
It's not good numbers. You can spend all the money you want, but if you don't spend it wisely with a plan in place, this is what's going to happen. And that's what it is. Some clubs know how to spend wisely, know how to build something. In comparison, you look at England, you look at Brighton. Brighton's model, they don't spend big, but what they do is they resell big. They go and get the right players because they've got their model, they've got their plan in place, and that's how they're able to spend less money and go and sell players for hundreds of millions after. So I think it's more of a direction and identity of what the club is about. The thing you've got to be careful when you get in these situations, these conversations, is you can't have a CEO and a sporting director go and buy all these players for what the manager wants. You can't give too much power to a manager unless it's a
That's the reverse side. That's the reverse side.
Manchester
when you
United.
do that, then you get all these players come in. If I'm going into that club as a manager next, my excuse is these are not my players.
Or a manager
then you go
gets
through
sacked,
the same cycle again of having to get these rid of players. No, so you have to have a plan and a blueprint of these are the type of players we want to identify. These are the type of players, no matter what manager comes in, he can get the best out of these players, which is what some of the best clubs do. And I would say for me, Real Madrid, for me, are one of the best clubs at it. They get the best of the best. Your job is just to manage, and you don't have to worry about swapping players for a new manager coming in.